Hello guys, here about Nintendo's most underrated IP. Most people would say Earthbound, most people would say, F-Zero, or until very recently Fire Emblem until, Sakurai started putting like 10 Fire Emblem characters in Super Smash Bros. And various other Nintendo IPs that people have forgotten about. But today we'll talk about a franchise that is actually becoming more popular. Let's look at the Japanese sales of the Pikmin 3 Deluxe, but it's the Pikmin franchise. The Pikmin franchise has never really had a chance to be a massive, successful game. Yes, Pikmin 1 and 2 got put on the on the Nintendo Wii, but Nintendo never promoted those versions. And it's like, okay, we're just gonna put them on the Nintendo Wii and just forget they even exist. Not advertise them at all, and they say, oh, let's hope people buy them based on the name alone. It was a horrible, and actually live in Japan. They actually promoted them in Japan. But Pikmin 3 Deluxe, the Pikmin franchise is a very underrated series. I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna spoil the storylines of the games, but these games are very simple stories like any other Nintendo game. So, what is Pikmin? Pikmin is a franchise where you basically go around and control 100 Pikmin. It's basically like Pikmin are like your friends. You don't want them to go, but you have to fight with them, hoping they don't die, of course, to basically get whatever objective of your game is. The first game is Sip Pots, the second game is Treasure, and the third game is Fruits. You in all the games, these are required to beat the game. You have to get a certain amount of Treasure in Pikmin 2, Sip Pots in Pikmin 1, which is all of them, and Fruit, which is probably all of them, at a minimum. And also Pikmin 1 and 3 also have a very big time limit. And Pikmin 2 doesn't have a time limit. Even though some people say Pikmin 2 is very hard, you can take as long as you want to beat Pikmin 2. And Pikmin 2, if you want to grow up your numbers one day, you don't have to go into a cave. You can just basically just beat all the enemies and grow up your numbers one day and then go into the cave another day. Pikmin 2 isn't even that hard. I beat Pikmin 2 so many times that I basically memorized the game in my head. It's very easy to beat, especially if you use the purple Pikmin. The purple Pikmin are basically your best friend in Pikmin 2. They basically beat enemies really quickly, especially with their stun ability. See, I even stopped using them in my runs because of how overpowered they were. And it made the game much harder as well. Because I didn't really use Purple Pikmin every single time an enemy shows up because of how overpowered they were. And it's just, most people always talk about the best GameCube games. Oh, it's Zelda, Mario, and Smash Bros. But I always say one of the best GameCube games is Pikmin 2 because of how fun it is. Pikmin 2 also has a very great and entertaining multiplayer mode in the game where you basically play again with two players and basically, wreak havoc on each other. And basically, you have to take each other's marble to make to secure the victory. Pikmin 3 also has bingo mode as well, and even a co-op mode. So, Pikmin 1 has no such thing. So, if you want to play co-op on Pikmin 1, best luck, it's probably not going to happen on Pikmin 1. Pikmin 2, yep, you can also play multiplayer mode, the multiplayer on the challenge mode to make it a bit easier. But yep, there we go. Nintendo's mode. So if you're trying and you want to try a new Nintendo IP that you have not played before, I think Pikmin is a very good option. And I think the starting point would probably be Pikmin 3 Deluxe, because Pikmin 3 Deluxe, if you have a Nintendo Switch, Pikmin 3 Deluxe is readily available at every store. You don't have to stuff up, muster up $100 to buy Pikmin 1 and 2. And I hope Nintendo puts Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Nintendo Switch someday, because it's kind of lonely that's Pikmin 3 on Nintendo Switch. I wish Nintendo just put the entire trilogy on there instead of just putting just 3. It's kind of like Nintendo, like, oh yeah, Pikmin 2, 1 and 2. Okay, they don't know. We put them. Okay, we just already exist. Maybe one day on Nintendo Switch Online we'll see Pikmin 1 and 2 on there, so people can play the first two games. Just forget Hey Pikmin exists. I think that's why Pikmin 4 got delayed so much. Is because of Hey Pikmin. This game, basically was like the CDI games as the Zelda games. Nobody acknowledges this game exists, and everybody just wants to forget it. So yep, that's basically about this video. So Pikmin is is probably easily Nintendo's most underrated series ever made, and that's basically it. Goodbye.